Welcome to the Kectil Global RoundUp, your monthly source for news and updates from around the world. Welcome to the Kectil Global RoundUp, where we bring you insights into pressing global issues. I'm Alexandra Fomin, your host for today's episode. Today, we have some significant updates on Afghanistan that highlight both its ongoing struggles and the resilience of its people. First up, Afghanistan has lost its voting rights at the United Nations. Why? Well, the country owes $900,000 in unpaid membership fees. This financial crisis stems from the severe economic and political instability that has gripped Afghanistan since the Taliban took over in August 2021. This situation has left the Taliban-led government internationally isolated and largely unrecognized. The loss of voting rights further hampers Afghanistan's ability to participate in global diplomatic discussions and seek international aid. Without a voice at the United Nations, Afghanistan's challenge in security international support become even more daunting. This underscored the pressing need for a solution to the country's financial and political woes. In the other news, Afghanistan recently faced a devastating natural disaster. Flash floods struck the northern east region, including Baghlan, Takhar, and Badakhshan provinces. The floods have claimed at least 300 lives, including 51 children, and left many more injured or missing. Thousands of homes were destroyed and essential services like schools and health centers were severely impacted. The United Nations, along with UNICEF and other humanitarian agencies, has been quick to respond. They are providing emergency aid, including food, temporary shelters, and medical supplies. Despite the urgent relief effort, the situation remains dire, with thousands of families displaced and infrastructure in ruins. This tragic event also highlights the broader issues of climate change. Afghanistan is among the top 10 countries most vulnerable to climate change, facing frequent extreme weather events like floods and droughts. The international community must prioritize climate resilience strategies to help mitigate these disasters in the future. These stories from Afghanistan remind us of the resilience of its people in the face of adversity and the critical needs for international support. Stay tuned to the Kectil YouTube channel for more updates on global issues and the voice that need to be heard. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notification on our latest video. And we move on to another country's news. Now we are diving into the recent tragic event in Papua New Guinea. On May 24th, 2024, a devastating landslide struck the remote village of Kaukalam in the Inga province of Papua New Guinea. This catastrophic event, occurring around 3 a.m. local time, resulted in an estimated 100 fatalities and has displaced thousands of residents. The landslide has burned around 150 structures and rescue efforts have been severely hampered by unstable conditions and damaged access roads. Despite these challenges, 6 bodies have been recovered so far, and the search continues for more victims among the estimated 670 missing individuals. Authorities, including the Papua New Guinea Defense Force and international aid organizations, are working tirelessly to provide immediate relief. This includes essential supplies like food, water, medicine, and shelter, as well as psychological support for those affected. In the midst of this effort, the local government has requested international assistance to deploy geotechnical engineers for a comprehensive geohazard assessment aiming to prevent future tragedies of this nature. Despite the adversity, the spirit of the local community and the swift response from both national and international organizations highlight a resilient and unified efforts to rebuild and recover. Next country in today's episode will be Ukraine and war between Ukraine and Russia. Summer has begun in Ukraine, bringing with it a dangerous escalation in the ongoing conflict with Russia. In Kharkiv, the country's second largest city located in the northern east, near the Russian border, the situation is particularly dire. Recently, 2 guided bombs struck a crowded DIA superstore and garden center, resulting in at least 15 deaths and dozens of injuries. They attacked targeted civilians, not military personnel, as noted by Enrico Dano, a local store manager who expressed despair over the destruction but also a steadfast determination not to give up. And the superstore burned and black smoke billowed across Kharkiv. Daily life continued for many residents. Couples walked their dogs, teenagers practiced skateboards tricks and recorded TikTok dances, and cafes in the city center remains open, ignoring the frequent air raid siren. Inside the opera house and orchestra rehearsed for a music festival symbolizing the resilience and defiance of the Ukrainian people in the face of ongoing aggression. Ukraine is currently facing its worst crisis in the early months of Russia's full-scale invasion, which began over 2 years ago. The country's defense capabilities are heavily reliant on support from Western islands, whose decisions are crucial in shaping the conflict's outcome. Russia, on the other hand, has adapted its strategies and ramped up weapon production, exploiting weaknesses in Ukrainians' air defense. Russian factories are now outproducing their Western counterparts, making weapons and ammunition at a rapid pace. Despite hopes in the first year of the invasion that Russia could be driven back, the conflict has turned into a grim struggle. Ukrainians' efforts to mount a significant offensive last summer failed due to strong Russian defenses and the lack of adequate air cover. This failure undercovered Ukraine's dependence on external support for fighting and arms. With a population of over 140 million, Russia has significant advantage in terms of manpower and resources. In the US, political debates have delayed additional aid for Ukraine, with President Joe Biden requested for $70 billion in military support being held up in Congress for months. Although this supplemental aid was signed into law in April, it will take time for the US military to restock Ukrainians' arsenals. Meanwhile, Russia continues to produce weapons at a fast pace, supported indirectly by China's provision of machine tools and microelectronics. On the front line, the situation is bleak. Ukraine is trying to recruit and conscript younger men to replace the exhausted and often injured middle-aged soldiers currently fighting. The human cost of the war is immense, with battle deaths in the tens of thousands. Despite these challenges, Ukraine has shown remarkable resilience, pioneering new forms of drone warfare and maintaining in the stance against a relentless enemy. As this dangerous summer unfolds, for one critical question remains: can Ukraine, with the help of its allies, withstand Russia's onslaught and change the strategic equation in the war? Without a qualitative change in Ukraine's favor, Russia will continue to push deeper into Ukrainian territory, prolonging a conflict that shows no sign of ending soon. Now, we turn our attention to the harrowing real lives faced by children in Myanmar, whose lives have been upended by ongoing conflict and violence. A recent article by Al Jazeera sheds light on the heartbreaking plight of these young individuals whose innocence have been overshadowed by the horrors of war. As the political turmoil in Myanmar persists, children find themselves thrust into the minds of the crisis they didn't know to create. Scared by the traumas of violence and displacement, they are robbed of the carefree childhood they deserve. Instead of playgrounds and classrooms, they navigate through a landscape marred by fear, uncertainty, and loss. Al Jazeera report paints a poignant pictures of the challenges these children encounter on a daily basis, from struggling to access education and healthcare to facing the constant threat of violence. Their basic rights are constantly denied. Many are forced to flee their homes, becoming internally displaced or seeking refuge, further exacerbating their vulnerability. In the chaos, however, shines a glimmer of hope as humanitarian organizations work tirelessly to provide aid and support to these children. From offering psychological service to advocating for their rights, these efforts tries to alleviate the suffering of those caught in the crossfire of conflict. Join us, we delve deeper into these sobering narratives, amplifying the voice of these children and shedding light on their resilience in the face of adversity. Together, let us bear witness to their stories and reaffirm our commitment to standing in solidarity with the most vulnerable among us. Stay tuned as we explore the complexity of the situation in Myanmar and the urgent need for concentrated action to protect their rights and well-being of its youngest citizens. Next conversation about that you will see in our next the Kectil Global RoundUp episode. Next one, news will be about Palestine. In our latest exploration of global affairs, we turn our attention to the impassionate plea from Spanish Prime Minister highlighted in Al Jazeera recent report, advocating for the establishment of a Palestine state at the cornerstone of lasting peace in the region. Delving into the nuisance of these crucial diplomatic stains, we examine the implication and potential pathway towards a resolution of the long-standing Israel-Palestinian conflict. Through the lens of Al Jazeera coverage, you gain insight into the Spanish Prime Minister assertion that a Palestine state is not only a matter of justice but also a prerequisite for stability and prosperity in the Middle East. With a focus on diplomacy and dialogue, this approach underscores the importance of understanding the root cause of the conflict and fostering mutual recognition and consequences between Israel and Palestine. As we navigate through the complexity of the diplomatic discourse, we confront the challenges and opportunities inherent in the pursuit of a two-state solution. By advocating for the recognition of a Palestine state alongside Israel, the Spanish Prime Minister seeks to recognize international efforts towards a just and equitable resolution and uphold the rights and aspirations of both people. Through insightful analysis and informed commentary, we unpack the implication of this diplomatic initiative for regional dynamics and global efforts to promote peace and security. From the corridor of power to the street of Palestine, we witness the reverberations of this call to action and the potential it holds for rephasing the future of the region. Next news will be more about region. In Southern and East Africa, more than 6,000 people have died from cholera since late 2021. Extreme weather events like storm, floods, and droughts have made things worse, causing hunter displacement and severe cholera outbreaks. Countries like Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia have been badly affected. Health experts say that these extreme weather events are driving the spread of cholera. Julio de Oliveira, a scientist in South Africa, explained that recent cholera outbreaks started after a cyclone that floods in Malawi. In Zimbabwe and Zambia, severe droughts have forced people to use unsafe water sources, which are often contaminated. In Kenya, cholera cases appeared soon after recent floods. Africa is especially at risk because of climate change and the El Nino weather pattern. The World Health Organization calls cholera a disease of poverty, thriving where there is poor sanitation and lack of clean water. Africa has had 8 times as many cholera deaths this year and the Middle East. The next most affected region, Dr. Daniel Garone from Doctors Without Borders say cholera doesn't get as much help because it may affect poor countries. A big problem is the shortage of cholera vaccines. Since early 2023, 15 countries have asked for 82 million doses, but only 46 million were available. Now only 3.2 million doses are left, which is less than the needed reserve of 5 million. Gavi and UNICEF hope a new vaccine will help, but the current shortage has already caused many deaths. Cholera outbreaks are also happening in the Middle East, the Americas, and Southern Asia, but Africa is the worst hit. The ongoing extreme weather makes this situation even more dangerous for millions of people. And the last country about what we will discuss today, it is DRC, Democratic Republic of the Congo. In the early hours of Sunday, May 19, 2024, the army of the Democratic Republic of the Congo stopped a coup attempt against President Felix Tshisekedi. The attackers, led by Christian Malanga, a political and former military officer based in the US, targeted the homes of Vital Kamerhe, a federal legislator, and the president's official residence in the Kinshasa. 3 people were killed, including 2 Congolese security officials and Malanga. The attackers, including some foreigners, are now in custody. Christian Malanga, who led the attack, is a wealthy businessman and political who lived in the US. They once served as a military captain in the Congolese army and founded the Opportunities United Congolese Party. After moving the US, he campaigned for religious freedom and anti-corruption in Africa. At around 4 a.m. local time, men in military uniform attacked Kamerhe's residence and breached the president's official residence. The attack lasted about 3 hours before being repelled. About 50 people were arrested, including 3 US citizens. Ammunition fired during the attack hit Brazzaville in the neighboring Republic of the Congo, injuring several people. The DRC military said the attackers were mostly foreigners or Congolese citizens based abroad. Some suspects held US and Canadian passports. Malanga, in a live-streamed video, threatened President Tshisekedi, said, "Felix, You're out, we are coming for you. The incident happening during a crisis in Tshisekedi ruling party over a postponed election for parliament leadership. Tshisekedi warned parliament he would dissolve the National Assembly if bad practice continued. The US Embassy in DRC issued a security alert urging caution after report of gunfire. For today, this is all the news we wanted to share with you. Thank you for being with us. We wish you peace in your countries. Please do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful updates and inspiring stories from around the world. We also have a podcast where you can find even more news and interesting first-hand stories. You can find links to all our social networks in the description of this video. Stay tuned for next month's Kectil Global RoundUp, where we'll continue to explore the latest news and trends shaping our world.